welcome back. Thank you for joining me. It's been an incredibly eventful day, hasn't it, Jonathan?
Yeah, no kidding.
Wow, and I've
Um,
I've done some updates, and I've done quite a lot of quite long battle updates. So check them out. They normally have point 1, point 2, point 3 after them. They're the battle upgrades. See them on all the different series I've done. Check out the channel. Where do we begin?
so yeah, we received a message from uh, um, Louisiana yesterday, didn't we? He was kind of asking, "Oh, when are you going to invade me?" And then before we could even reply, he'd started invading us. So
Sent a scout
it's
out.
obviously been on his mind to start another attack. Um,
I hadn't
and
heard that he sent you that message.
no, I think he sent something similar to Tim as well. I didn't really think
Okay.
much of it at the time. Um, yeah, he did we cover American Georgia sending in a Corvette and a UAV to kind of scout us out? That was the first
Saw
thing
the
that
Corvette. I
happened.
never saw the UAV, but he's had a good look at our troops, hasn't he?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and what did it all kick off with today then?
Oh God, I can't remember. There's been so much that had happened.
He sent a load of
Around
air attacks,
Colorado
didn't he?
Springs. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He was air assaulting some combat recons, and he had a stack of air superiority and some heavy bombers, and he's been systematically destroying our air bases, which is a very clever tactic. Um, so I'm rebuilding, but he didn't take into account all the anti-air that we've had already, and he's lost quite a few planes just from directly attacking stacks with SAM turrets on them. So he's lost
Yeah.
3 bombers and 5 air superiority.
Yeah.
And now it looks like Cuba and American Georgia are getting into the mix as well. And he's sending in some big stacks to follow up on his first wave, which failed.
Yeah, we've seen some pretty unbelievable stuff. I mean, I've got it on a picture of WhatsApp. So, I mean, he's obviously gold playing the bejesus out of this game. There it is. So he's got a big stack. So as well as 5 bombers and 6 air superiority and who knows what else, he's got a big stack which has got a couple of Sheridan tanks, mobile SAM, couple of AA anti-air for the helicopters, 2 rockets, 2 troops, 2 combat recons, but they're all level 2. And that, along with the heavy bombers, the air superiority, and all the other stuff we've seen, he's definitely been by.
It's just not possible on day 11 without spending gold.
He's spent a lot of gold, hasn't he? And we know that from his expansion, because you can't have a massive stack up near us and have taken over, a big old lump of land across the pond from you. It's impossible to have your army split up like that. So he's definitely massively gold playing. He's gold playing more than I thought he was, and we're probably going to get a bit of a sad surprise on his navy as well when we march ours round and have a go. But Jonathan, you're making a run for some of his land.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. So I've kind of moved past the stacks he had here. I took out some radar he had earlier, so he couldn't quite see what I was doing. I've chosen not to engage in with his stacks. I built a combat outpost to kind of feign that I was going to. But I've moved east, and now he's probably going to expect that I'm going to go for this air base which he's built, which is what he's been flying out of all day.
Yeah.
And where he's flying in troops. But I'm going to go past it and around. And then the grand strategy is either going to be I'm going to turn south and go to his home cities, or if there's too much resistance, I'm going to go north and take some of these cities. Maybe I'll take some on the way. And then the idea is I'll draw enough of his troops away that Tim can come in with a counter-attack in like 10, 12 hours. He's already moving into San Antonio. And hopefully between us we'll make some measurable impact.
Very nice. And in the meantime, if he comes at us like he's got a big stack, we think here, and I've read out what's in it, and he's got a little bait, a little bit of a fish on a hook in front of him, which Tim's already had a go at with his strike fighters, and I'm sure Tim can help with the advance with his strike fighters. Has he rebuilt an air base a bit closer to Louisiana after it was destroyed in Austin? I can't see one. Hopefully he's got one building anyway. If not,
no.
Tell him. Because air bases are the key now. We're just constantly building them now. You can destroy what you like. We've got 5 more being built. Doesn't matter. And Colorado's come in, and he's taken a bit of land. I've hit him once with my helicopters, and actually I think Tim is coming in with his strikes on that. So that's good to have his help. I could probably take them out with my helicopters at a push, though. That's fine. So, but he's got mechs in there that are quite powerful against air targets, considering 1.9 against helicopters each. Building more air bases all over the place in the mountains, really smart places where they're just not going to be able to get to. And would you, Adam and Eve it, Jonathan, would you believe it? So we saw a cruise missile coming out of Minnesota before. I wonder if that's what hit Szechuan
not cruise
Pepper.
missile, a ballistic missile.
Ballistic
so
missile.
Slightly more formidable. Yeah, he was actually gunning for Michigan. I don't really know why. Like, I can't imagine Michigan having many troops on their cities.
That's odd.
But pardon?
That's odd, isn't it? Because that's a tiny little player. Why would you waste a missile? But then they've taken land over there, haven't they? So maybe that was a bit of a revenge attack. Maybe Michigan killed off their little stack they had in there. That would make sense.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on over there, but it's good to see missiles being fired at another player for a change. If you'd seen our last game, then we were having a lot of those fired at us.
I know.
It's just all the more reason to make SAM turrets. If you can get a mid-level SAM turret, a couple in a stack around this stage in the game, then you can shoot down some ballistic missiles. Lord knows, if we let Louisiana live for another few days, you'll probably have nukes. So we need to get theatre defense going, and that'll definitely be on our agenda fairly soon. The moral of the story is it's best to invest in anti-air. Yeah,
anti-air, and then think about anti-missile sooner rather than later. But it is great that you've got 2 SAMs.
I've got 4 SAMs.
No, I meant in your stack.
Yeah, and just one of those was enough to take down like most of those planes, which was just really incredible at level 1.
Did you see? Sorry to interrupt. Did you see that I'd said earlier before it's forgotten? American Georgia has 4 strike fighters, and they're flying from the base you're passing. So just so you know, he may not quite have the courage to attack you, especially because he seems like a bit more of a runaround middleman, not a very aggressive, like he'll lay down his planes on the line for his fellow people. What do you think?
Yeah, he's definitely been a bit timid. Like he never went for Florida before. It was very useful him giving us the intel on all the other coalitions when they were attacking before. But now, like, he was sending some of his strikes to attack Colorado Springs, but I'd already moved my troops away from there. So I was able to get a load of free hits on his strike fighters. So he's going to be a bit wounded. And again, if he comes directly for me, the SAMs are just going to do a lot of damage because...
What, an American Georgia?
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that. He sent strikes after you in Colorado Springs.
Yeah, he did. There was 4 strike fighters, but
did you take any down?
Yeah, well, I took one down actually. So I think he started off with 5, but they're only level 1. Louisiana's got level 2 air superiority fighters and level 1 bombers. So we've taken down a lot of planes in the past week, and I feel like they're going to come at me with more planes, but it's going to be limited what they're going to be able to do. And if they're not organized, then they're not going to be able to kill me from the air, and they're just going to need to get some troops in front of me. So I'll be playing a little game of British Bulldog to try and get to wherever I want to go.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, I mean, when you've got really nice air defense in a moving big stack, you're laughing, really. So good luck with that one. Is all I can say.
4 kills on my SAM turrets so far.
Let's check this out. I've got a SAM turret here. Let's have a look. Have I got any? Oh, got one. I think that was the a bomber. That's your one. None there. And he sent his bombers up north here as well. And my SAM turret did take one out, so let's see if that registered. There it is. They're set up for another... Yep, there we go. They're set up for another run. But I think he's called his bombers off and taken them back home. He's realised they're not really functional anymore when you get down to 2. Maybe he's trying to rebuild the stack. God knows what he's going to plan and magic up. God, okay. So, I mean, if he comes for Albuquerque, he could just go up and round, couldn't he? In Aspen.
Well, it's going to take him a long time to do that. I feel like that's kind of where he's heading at the minute. But there are some mountainous provinces up there. I kind of assumed he was going to go straight for Albuquerque. That kind of makes the most sense. But either way, I think we've got a lot of time. And the stack that's actually closest to getting to us two is Colorado. So I think Tim is prioritising that, and looks like so are you at the minute.
Yeah, Tim's on it, I'm on it. That stack's not going to last very long at all. It really won't. It's just full of low-level, weak things. I mean, he's got a fair old bit of anti-air, but he's soon going to start losing troops, and that stack will dwindle. And that'll hopefully be the end of Colorado, unless he's left one troop in that province furthest away. That'd be annoying.
Yeah, it'll definitely be the end of him. But it was very interesting that he chose to take all of his troops away from his home cities, do a little lap around, and then return for a bit of revenge. Like, you've got to respect that, I guess.
Oof, I don't know. I mean, yeah, in a way, but I mean, Jesus Christ. Also, you've got to know when to let go, and I think he probably should have let go, but probably kept him in the game being on telly. I think.
Kind of expected him to keep these troops on his cities to defend. I was just kept finding that all of them were empty.
I know, he completely abandoned his homeland, and you would have totally slowed your advance if he'd put up a really strong fight. He may even have held on with the others behind him, so it was just a bit odd that he kind of just fleed. It's so I don't know. I don't know if I respect that sort of a play. I'd respect dying fighting rather than just up and running, and then being a pain running around, and then not really doing anything in his last breath.
You've got to make the most of the troops you've got, whatever that is. And if he's obviously deciding now that he just wants to troll us a bit, so
yeah,
fair enough. Just as long as you're not giving up and quitting the game, I feel like that's the worst thing you can do. And there's nothing more frustrating when you start fighting a player and then suddenly they've quit. Just a good fight is what I like to see.
Fight the good fight, and that's what we're trying to do, but against all odds, Jonathan. So take a look at us now and see if we can win this game. Who knows?
All right, Phil. There's going to be some people watching this who are not going to understand that reference at all.
No, I wanted to let it go further under the radar than that. But we'll see. So, I mean, I'm pumping out some pretty nasty stuff in the homeland, and I'm probably going to sit it there as well. So we're getting anti-air, we're getting some big tanks, we're getting some pretty nasty troops and some boats. So that's all to come in some future episodes. I'm a bit away from the game where you guys are down here in the south. I feel like I've got to keep some skin in the game in the north, just to protect it, really. King of the North. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Having functional air bases up here will do us a lot of good, and it will take him a while to move through the mountains if somebody was to invade you in the north. It's really up to you. Like, anything you can spare to bring down here would be great, but you've got to make your decision soon because it will take them a long time to get over.
Yeah, well, I've sent everything I can. You've had a couple of Sheridan tanks and a couple of, one SAM or two? One SAM and two Sheridan tanks you've had so far, which is not a lot, but it helped to tip the balance. I got a hit in with my Sam at the last minute, and my Sheridan tank was right up there with you. See the battle updates.
That was super good. And then they'll be
Something.
essential on Albuquerque or at Grand Junction if he ever does, start to push through. So like a strong defensive line, especially with some of these armored fighting vehicles, will be like really, really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm reaching a critical point where I could just pump stuff out now. I've got some rare materials. I've been trying to think about what to research next. I will openly admit I've gone back to the old faithful, back to day one, the first series, mechanized infantry. I've deliberately not built them since the very first series we did, but I'm going back to them now. I think it's time to bring the boys back home. Be finished researching them in 2 hours 31 minutes, and there's a good reason why, because I've pumped out a few Sheridan tanks and they're very expensive. They're like 18. Let's talk shop, let's talk figures.
Yeah,
so Sheridan tanks are 1600 cogs, right? 650 electronics. And I've pumped a few of those out, but if we go back to mechanized, they're only 950 cogs, 500 supplies, which I've got an excess of, and no electronics. Okay, so but they've got such good defense. They've got 3.8 defense against troops. They've got 6.5 defense against tanks or armored vehicles, and then they've got quite a good air defense. And so I just want to pump out a few mechanized infantry, and that'll save the cogs, the components for the boats, and also it'll save the chips, the electronics for the planes. So I'm just going through cycles of building, and that makes sense to me. And then in the meantime, with my next upgrade, I can start going for things like maybe just upgrading the mechs.
Yeah, that's great. And I mean, they're a really good complement to any kind of armored fighting vehicle or tank. It says in their description that they increase the survivability, but I'm not sure exactly how they do that. But I think you're just supposed to stick a few of them in a stack with some tanks. And you love to go for that the ground strategy of having fighting up close. So mechanized, it does really make sense. And at a high level especially, mechanized are very formidable.
Oh, they're the good stuff. And often, talking about upgrades, you can normally upgrade to level 3 without it changing the cost of a unit, and then once you get to level 4, bang, everything costs more. So if you can bash out quite a lot of everything you want early on and then upgrade them, that can be a good way forward as well. So I'll be looking to bash out loads of mechs and be upgrading them, and then have loads by the time I get to like level 4, which is when they can be airlifted and sent all around, really. So I just want to really have a strong air mobile army with a good air defense, good strong sea strategy, and then start thinking about a bit of anti-missile. And I was thinking about researching air superiority next, because we had such a hard time with those bombers. But I think
we just need to upgrade our SAM turrets. He's got a lot of air superiority, and they're already level 2. So we'd be fighting a losing battle there. But SAM turrets, he's going to need specifically choppers to take them out. If they're high level, bombers are not going to get anywhere near them because they're slower than planes. So they would take in like a lot more damage. He was losing more air superiority, but that's because he was attacking stacks with them, and they're not designed to attack stacks. They're meant to attack other planes. But I think we get by fine just with some upgraded SAM turrets, and then gradually moving into theatre defence as a complement to that. And if we start seeing more helicopters, we could get some mobile anti-air too.
They're actually very cheap to bash out and very quick to bash out. So they're cheap to research, and they're actually quite expensive. They're 1,000 cogs, 1,300 cogs, 1,000 supplies. Cool. Cheap to research.
It's actually quite a big drawback. It's deceptive. You make a couple of those and you can drain a lot of your resources. But they very specifically target helicopters, and they pack a bit of a punch against troops and planes, and a little bit against missiles, which just really rounds off a big stack. So it's something to consider in the long game. If our opponents start seeing our strategy, then they may start introducing more helicopters into the mix, which we'll need to be wary of. And I guess in that case, then air superiority would be very relevant. But what we're seeing right now is lots and lots of planes, and the SAM turrets do just fine for that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll upgrade our SAMs and mechs, and I mean that's just what I'm making. But you guys are doing your own game, and we've got such a good complement of everything that's going on. Tim's got a load of rockets, and we've got a load of ships, and it just seems if we bring everything together, it's a good complement with Tim's strikes and our helicopters. So yeah, whether they sway their armies to one neck of the woods or not, we can cover it all between us, really. And that battle today proved it, because we absolutely did all right.
Absolutely did all right. Glowing compliment. Yeah, we fought him off, and he's still coming. We're only partway through the battle, but it's looking all right. It's looking okay. We're going to give him a run for his money, and as soon as Tim gets here, then yeah, he's going to be in a bit of trouble.
See, he's got a worm on a hook here, hasn't he? Must think we're a bit stupid because we can actually see it. So he's got his combat recon, mobile anti-air, 3 motorised infantry. He's got a solo SAM. Then he's got a big stack behind with... I'll have to look at the picture again, but I'm pretty sure...
I think it was...
has he pushed out the SAM on its own, and he's just got a couple of anti-air?
I think there is another SAM turret and maybe 1 or 2 more anti-air. But he's actually made quite a big mistake by separating his SAM, because what you could do is attack that with your choppers, and the defense stat against choppers. Well, the SAM turret doesn't actually have any defense against choppers. The mobile anti-air next to it would hit you, but it would be minimal. And then once we can eliminate the SAM turrets, then strikes can get in there, and they can clean up. So he really needs to keep everything like locked together, so we can't pick it off. So I think you should keep an eye out for that. Airbase on Alamosa is already at 2 out of 10. It's operational at 4 out of 10. So by the time he gets to Aspen, he may be like quite vulnerable. So yeah, just look out for that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and the anti-air has got a very small envelope, and so there's only one anti-air in front of it, and if his other anti-airs are behind it, might be able to dip in there and hit his SAM, and then if Tim can hit his stack in front without really getting damaged by the big stack behind, there's definitely a strategy here to be had if we can have it, if his big stack's not too far behind.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to lose visibility soon.
I think like we need to take stock once we've killed Colorado's troops, and I'm hoping and almost expecting that we'll have enough air power to entirely take out all of his stacks, but we probably would lose most of it in the process. Because we've just got to consider if we can really afford to do that.
Yeah, when he can just magic up a new stack. There it is. They've
gone.
Gone.
Yeah, but he'll also need to consider defending his cities. So hopefully he'll have other things on his mind apart from just churning out endless troops.
Yeah. It's all to play for, but yeah, we're under the gun with this gold player. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen. What it boils down to, Jonathan, is how much money is he prepared to spend. That's basically it. If he's going to dig deep and keep spending, then that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter how much money you spend if you screw up at some point. You know, we won that game against who was it, Norway, and he was spending like nobody's business. We saw the troops he had at the end, but we still pulled it away, the carpet from under his feet. That is, because we came up with a better battle plan than him.
Yeah, he had some unbelievable stuff, I must say. We did the business on that one. maybe Louisiana should watch that episode, that series. And
well, ultimately, like we're just already in such a winning position because his home cities are not very far away from the land we own. So we haven't got a lot of ground to take, and he's got a long way to go before he gets to any of us three. He's in Yucatan, but Tim's got some strong defense there, so
yeah,
he's going to struggle.
Here's hoping. Well, any last thoughts on the game?
Anti-air is very useful. I'll say it again.
It's the big one, isn't it? It's what saved our skin today. If we didn't have any, then we'd be dead. So here's to the anti-air, the mobile Sam. And on that note, it's goodbye from me.
That's goodbye from me.
Over and out.